here. All right, so thanks for joining me this morning. We're going to cover a momentum session on perspective, real estate perspective. Let me share my screen here over to the slideshow. Into the view here. I think this is one of my favorite classes to do. It just really makes you gain a perspective of what you're doing in your business. Let me know if you can't see the slide. It says real estate perspective.
I can. It's good.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So let's go ahead and get started here. Perspective. Let's talk about some facts when it comes to the real estate business. Number one, it is a get rich business. You can make as much or as little money as you want in this business because you're running it as your own business. So as we're going through this class, think about why you got into real estate, what you thought about it to get into it, and what you think about it now that you're in it. And remember, why do we work? Regardless of what we choose to be our work, why do we? Well, it's for life. You work to live. You don't live just to work. Everyone has the same 24 hours in the day. And in that 24 hours, you've got to take care of yourself, your relationships, and of course, your finances. Yourself and your relationships are going to build your aspirations. And your aspirations is going to be what requires time and money. And your finances are going to be what provides for that. So everything that you do, every task that you take on in your business or system that you build is only going to generate more income. And what do you do with that income? You satisfy your aspirations. Sorry, I clicked off the screen. So there we go. As I just said, you don't live to work, you work to live. Creating an unlimited life of abundance requires both time and money. You can have earned income where work is going to be a necessity so that it produces the money, or passive income makes work more of a choice and gives you a lot more time and money. On a side note, I did email you the handout that goes along with this. Options for funding your aspirations. Sorry, let me take care of that. You can either be an employee on the top left side of this chart, where you're working for others, which might bring much less cash and require a lot of time. You can be self-employed, where you're working for yourself, you're developing yourself in your own systems, and any of the funds that for that require you. So it could produce a lot of cash, but it could take a lot of your time too. If you slide over to the right side of the graph and think about what it is to be a business owner, you're actually finding and developing others. You're going to grow a passive income with some risk. So you'll end up having a lot of cash with less time invested into it. As an investor, and we don't mean a property investor, we mean an investor into the business, you're going to have an unlimited living passive income with low risk. It should bring about high cash with no time of yours because you've generated or built that business and you have the leverage in that industry. And we should all aspire to be an investor. The only options that truly allow for an abundant life are on the right side of the graph, which was that business owner and investor. If you're employed by someone else, your salary is going to be limited by the amount your boss is willing to pay. If you're self-employed, your income will be limited by the number of hours you're willing and able to spend in your business. That's an important statement. Your income is going to be limited by the number of hours you are willing and able to spend in your business. And let me add, what you do in those hours. The truth is that most people don't progress because they place limits on themselves, which usually show up in the form of excuses as to say why they can't. I find myself lately that I don't say no very often. I say yes because I know that I'm going to figure out how to get it done. When I say no, I've automatically limited it. It's funny, my granddaughter even calls me the yes girl because I say yes, she says, to everything. So your thoughts certainly matter, even when you get up every day and approach your business. In order to create a life of abundance, you must train your mind to think in unlimited terms. Let's talk about some beliefs that you possess when it comes to your business, and even as yourself being in your business yourself. What would be some limited beliefs that you possess? You could say, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough time. I don't have the money to get this started up. You know, you could go on and on and on, and they're all going to have those words that end in N apostrophe T. I can't, I don't. Change those words. You know, can't don't, won't, should become, can, be, and do. So rewrite those limited beliefs as into an unlimited belief. I don't have enough experience. I have plenty of experience. I don't have enough time. I have time. I don't have enough money. I have the money it will take to make this happen. So every time a negative thought comes into you when you're approaching something in your business, you need to turn around it into a positive statement. As silly as that sounds, but it's going to clear the barriers that you're putting in front of yourself by limiting yourself. Growing to your next level requires you doing something beyond what you are currently doing. You've got to add to yourself. Doing what you're currently doing at a more effective, efficient level, you're going to improve upon it and or leveraging yourself and your business by developing it. All three require an open mind and willingness to learn. Since growth requires change, the key is to becoming and remaining learning based. Learning based, and keep an open mind on this. Learning based is I know what I know, there is more to know. If you're not learning based, you're ignorance based. I don't mean to be rude, but ignorance based are those people that say, I know what I know and I'll ignore everything else, or I know it all. We all know a know-it-all. And it's sad now that you get made aware of this, that they've limited themselves. They certainly do know it all that they're ever going to know, because they've limited themselves. The fact that you're here today indicates one thing, that you are learning based. Now, let me ask a question. Can someone be learning based but not committed to self-mastery? Absolutely. That answer is yes. Let's take a look at the next chart. And keep in mind, don't learn for the sake of knowing, learn for the sake of growing, because there are, as we just talked about, two outcomes to learning. Think of it this way. If you're learning to know, you're going to continue to seek knowledge, seek knowledge, seek knowledge, seek knowledge like a sponge. And all it's going to get you is an appearance on Jeopardy and maybe the Jeopardy champion. But when you're learning to grow, it's going to help you to clarify the choices that you want to take action on. You're going to build habits by that. You're going to shape your character, determine your destiny, and control the legacy of your business. Learning new and irrelevant things may be entertaining, but it doesn't increase the bottom line. What increases your bottom line is your willingness to study, practice, and implement the vital activities of a thriving agent. A willingness to focus only on the basics. It's not about gaining an understanding of the basics, it's about mastering them. For those of you that have been in the business for a while, you remember 2008, you remember 2012, and the housing bubbles and the crash of the market. And the one thing that kept us agents that have been here that long was getting back to the basics. I remember, a broker saying to us, you've got to get back to the basics. People have been in the real estate business for a very, very long time, and it's because they've mastered the basics. Excuse me. What is the pathway to mastery? It's with reinforcement. It's with doing and being. You've got to reinforce. You've got to hear material for the first time. You've got to get an aha moment, and you've got to put it in and bring it back again. You've got to go back and reread things. You've got to go back and experience. You've got to go back and talk and just reinforce so that you're doing it, and then you're actually becoming it. Why do people succeed? Well, success is multidimensional. Absolutely. You have an internal and an external. You can be intentional and inactive, which makes you content. You want it, but you're not really moving towards it. You're dreaming, talk is cheap. You can be unintentional and inactive, and you're going to find yourself failing. I don't want it, and I'm not moving towards it. You're burnt out. You can be accidental and proactive on the bottom right corner. That's going to lead to a lot of frustration. And that's probably the point right before failure. You don't want it, but you're moving toward it for others' reasons. Those are the people that are sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring. Now, ultimately, you need to become intentional and proactive. That's going to bring about the abundance. You want it, and you're going to be moving towards it. You're going to be growing. You're learning based. Why do people succeed again? That internal dimension that we just talked about is an overwhelming, burning commitment to take action, an intense feeling of passion stemming from specifically defined aspiration and plans. And a little lighter way to think about this, and someone said this to me early on in the business, and I've shared the story a lot, but he said to me, you've got to go after business just as you would in the middle of the night to go out and get medicine for your sick kid. And I thought, that's nowhere near being relevant. Of course, I'm going to go out and get medicine for my sick kid. Why? What do you mean chase down business like it's like that? But he had a very simple point. I'm as committed to making that child feel better as I should be committed to making the business happen, because that's actually going to help provide for helping that child feel better. The internal dimension is more about willingness than anything else. The external dimension will keep you moving towards an environment that best supports your goals. You want to seek out the training and build the systems and the tools and relationships that need to achieve your aspirations. The external dimension is more about ability than anything else. So we've got willingness and ability. That model for success then brings us into our intentional and proactive. As we just said, your willingness and your ability will equal your expectations. And that's going to be seen by implementing the vital activities and you moving towards them and being accountable on a weekly basis, even daily basis, so that you continue to grow. Your aspirations plus the direction that you take and the action that you take and the focus you maintain will equal your achievement. The formula for abundant success, this can be read left to right, up and down, either way you want. It's all going to bring about the success. The consulting plus the training plus accountability plus the mastermind is going to equal success. The training plus your knowledge and your skills are going to lead you to take action. So see how I read that up and down, left to right. First, let's talk about what your aspirations are, and you need to define them and you need to become really clear. What do you want? In a macro sense, what needs funding in your life? Specificity is crucial because the answers, when linked to your business, become requisite justification for leaving your comfort zone, which is definitely required. And how badly do you want it? All aspirations begin as wants. However, wanting something is not enough. Therefore, your wants must evolve if you expect them to be realized. Just like they say, a dream is a goal without any plan. And you've got to take action to bring all of that about. So with that being said, let's talk about what an aspiration is. It comes in 4 stages. You want something. So you start to define and talk about it. You know, I really want a new car, but you're not doing anything except talking about that new car. Then you talk about it, or you start to feel a little desire. I really want that new car and I want to do what I can to bring it about. You start to move toward it as long as the path remains easy and convenient. You know, it's comfortable. But you're going to that desire, that want, that desire is going to build about a passion, and it's going to make you be willing to suffer for it, to get uncomfortable. Now, you don't, though, want to become obsessed. Obsession is when you let something take over and totally control your life, which is unhealthy. And I know people that seem to be very successful and just as obsessed in this business, in any business. And you can think of people yourself too. And your first word that probably comes to your mind is that they're greedy, because that's how they kind of come off as. That ride won't last very long. They're not going to build any leverage with their business. You must be willing to progress to the passionate level and become passionate about what you want and what you're doing to get that. Because no one really is passionate about making more money. They're passionate about what the making more money provides, what you can do with more money. Vague aspirations end up in a vast wasteland of wants and desires. And this isn't just about the real estate business. This is about any business that you're going to build, anything that you're going to take on to provide for your aspirations. When you attach your personal needs, your wishes, your dreams, and endowments to your career activities, you, in essence, create that passion link. I remember when I first got into this business and I sat down with the kids and I said, we're going to make a list of things that we want. And we literally did, as far as like different pieces of furniture in the apartment, because we were in an apartment, and then we wanted to be in a house, and trips we wanted to take. And I applied a number of transactions to that item of what would fund that. So if we wanted a new, kitchen set, that's kind of probably be a few $1,000s. My average commission was a few $1,000s. So that's one deal. So you'll ask my kids, if they said they needed something, I would say, well, I'm going to have to sell an extra house. I'm going to have to sell an extra 2 houses. So you've got to attach those needs to your career activity so that you become passionate about doing it and being successful at it. How do you view your daily activities certainly does matter. With what in mind I just said, do you get up every morning and think about what you get to do or about what you have to do? If you wake up in the morning and have that H word on your mind, you're going to think about everything as being a chore. It's going to become a pain. You're going to be resistant to it. Certainly going to procrastinate, and you're going to become full of something, and it's going to be frustration. If you get up every day and look at things you get to do, and there's a reason why G comes before H in the alphabet, you'll think about your passions, your pleasures, you'll embrace the activities, you're going to take action quicker and more clear, you're going to find it fulfilling, and you're going to bring about that abundance. Days of doing this will add to weeks, which will add to months, adds to years, adds to your life. So if anything, the very first step you take away from this class is to think like this: what do I get to do today? Not what do I have to do today? Now let's talk about your financial requirement for your aspirations. Say that your aspirations in the first column here on the left, you want to build a savings. How big of a priority is that? Every priority, personally, I think should be high, because the moment you bump it down, you're categorizing it as not important, you're limiting it, you're putting it away. So I don't want it to be overwhelming. I want it to be realistic. It's almost like if you do have kids, they all say, who do you love more? I love you all the same. Now I tell my kids it depends what name I drew out of the hat, but reality says it's all the same. So there's nothing wrong with making every one of your aspirations the high priority. And then you decide on the amount that's going to need funding for. Once you establish your appropriate funding categories, the next step is to prioritize and budget. This is a sample budget. If you say the family expenses that you anticipate having because of the aspirations you have are going to be about 50 grand a year, that's going to break down to 4,000 a month. And like I said, you can break that down into transaction. If you want to even look at a new car fund, which on the graph is second line from the bottom, and 15,000 in a year, yearly totals over how many years could be more. You want to look at your monthly total then. So, and they have a note at the bottom about 10% to charity, and I'm all for that. I'm just saying you've got to figure out what your aspirations are and what your life funds need to be so that you can fund them in a budget. And not funding something on your plan should definitely ignite a feeling of pain. You don't ever want to mark something off of your plan or make it a less of a priority. Your entrepreneur's mantra is unacceptable for my business to profit less than, and I want you to put a number in here, and I want it to be a big number that you think is not achievable. And I'm very serious. If you think 100,000 is big to you, then you need to put 100,000 in there. Guess what? I have 350,000 written everywhere. It's on my laptop screensaver. It's on my desktop background. It's on my phone. So that's my goal. I speak it loudly and I speak it boldly. I want to make 350,000 a year. You want to place this yearly profit in the blank above and keep this in front of you. So make it a screensaver on your phone. You need to put it somewhere where you see it all the time. Otherwise, you've categorized it as less important and put it away. So keep a note that once you've established a meaningful economic benchmark, you can begin designing an appropriate funding vehicle. This entails assembling your business goals, plans, and strategies, and equipping that vehicle with the appropriate GPS. And I'm going to break this down a little bit more in a second. Just remember that you get out of life what you put into it. If you intentionally have no life plan beyond simply existing day to day, then you will most likely squander your time and never reach your full potential. The irrefutable fact number 2, real estate sales is basic. You should know yourself by now that everything they taught you in Hondros or wherever you went was to pass the exam. They didn't teach you any of the basics of building your business, let alone starting it out, right? We're going to. An introduction to the business concepts. Real estate sales is a numbers game, and we've broken them down into numbers that you need to focus on. There are 28 core beliefs. There are 3 models. There are 8 functions, 14 responsibilities, 6 ancillary arms, 94 vital activities, $13 productive activities, and 14 key performance standards and all 24 hours that we can get every day. With that being said, every thought has a physical consequence, for better or worse. Beliefs determine perspective and justify behavior. In order to stay focused on the right activities, you must establish and internalize positive, productive beliefs. The beliefs that you possess act as a behavioral filter, and when pieced together, will begin to create your character and shape your legacy. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But let's dissect a belief. A belief is purely a habit of the mind, and it's acquired by frequent repetition that happens often. And enough of a belief, repeated belief, becomes a truth. It becomes a state of being the case, or your reality. A simple way to look at this is the boogeyman. As a young child, you were convinced that walking into a dark room, there was going to be a boogeyman in there all the time. It became a habit of your mind. You thought of it over and over again, and it often appeared, and that became a truth to you until you got old enough to realize the reality that the light could be turned on and there was no boogeyman. The truth about truths. What you frequently think about becomes internalized and accepted as truth. Another way to say that is thoughts become things. I'm sorry, I mixed that all up. Thoughts become things. What you frequently think about becomes internalized and accepted as truth. Kind of like if you tell yourself you're never going to be good enough, or even you're going to be late. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. It becomes a truth to you, and it appears that way. It happens. Truths, once internalized, guide your thinking and thus your behavior. Your beliefs ultimately define your reality and thus your world. And having a well-defined belief makes it easy to say yes or no. If you don't feel that you have enough experience and you tell yourself that, and someone hands you an opportunity that just seems so far out of your realm of experience, it makes it very easy for you to say, no, thank you. Let's talk about those 28 beliefs. There is no growth without discomfort. Absolutely. Sorry, I want to make sure I didn't miss somebody joining. I live in a world of abundance. The market does not and will not determine my income. Remember those 2 times in 2008, 2012, I mentioned, in the housing bubble and the crash of the market, there were still agents making 6-figure incomes. The market does not and will not determine your income. Even today with low inventory, we're killing it. Depending on how much you invest in your time in the systems that you're building in your business, you're killing it. My only limit is time. Focus is the key to success. I reap what I sow. Success stems from duplicable processes and systems. It is unacceptable for my business to earn $0. Absolutely. People have lived before me. As I said, business of real estate has been around for a while. Leverage is the key to abundance. It's a win-win or no deal. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. If you focus on what it's costing you to do something, you will never see the value, the return you're going to get. Real estate sales can be a get-rich business. Real estate sales is basic. Real estate sales is a task business. I will not convert 100% of the leads I do not generate. Read that again. I will not convert 100% of the leads I do not generate. You have to generate leads. People will trust and follow what I can logically and tangibly explain. Absolutely. It's unacceptable to leave the client's money on the table. Do you understand what that statement means? Let me step back for a second. It's unacceptable to leave a client's money on the table. Sorry about that. That means that when you're maybe sitting down with a seller and they're adamant, they want to stick to this price, and you've shown them what you can as far as market analysis, and they're still saying, well, I get all that, I believe that, but let's go ahead a little bit higher. This is a crazy market, low inventory. Let's go 5,000 higher. If you agree to that, you've taken that $5,000 they think they could be getting and you've set it on the table, because then in a month or even the first offer is going to come in lower than that. So you've really got to stick to not leaving their money on the table. I mean, in that 5,000 difference, it could be a mortgage payment, it could be 2 months of mortgage payment. So don't leave that money on the table. Bring that awareness to your client. Continuing on, when it comes to listings, homes sell for two reasons: price and exposure. The pricing game is all about justification. Pricing is neighborhood specific. What's put in motion stays in motion. That's positive or negative. Pricing homes is not an exact science. It's not. It takes a lot of calculations and analysis, but it's not an exact science. Otherwise, we could use the same formula on every house. Time reveals all. When it comes to buyers, time reveals all. Motivated, qualified, and loyal people buy homes. Having a process reduces the risk that comes with buyers. That means your own process. How are you going to deal with every buyer that comes across you? If they won't meet me, they're not a buyer. And Class A buyers deserve my immediate time and attention. Here's those three models. Again, we're talking down the numbers in real estate. The three models. You have a financial model, you have an operational model, and an organizational model. I'm so sorry. The financial model starts from what your aspirations are, what the financial requirement is to fulfill those, which equals your entrepreneur's mantra. And that becomes broken down by a transaction benchmark. When you have the number of transactions that you need to complete to finance everything, that's going to be broken down then into your operational model and your organizational model. So of the number of transactions that you need to close successfully, you need to have strategies and activities of those transactions, and you need to have the functions and responsibilities. That's all going to come down and equal your performance standard. And my bottom line right there says, let me move this. That's the career development. Okay. With that being said, the financial model, of course, includes your entrepreneur, your profit requirement, your commission rate schedule, what your average commission rate is, your transaction benchmark, how many transactions you're doing, and the financial statements, which would be your expense budget, a balance sheet, income statement. You have to know what you've got to pay out in accordance with what you're bringing in, obviously, accounting 101. Financial fundamentals, you want to lead with revenue, limit debt, and maintain a reinvestment strategy. And you want to keep your expenses low. Be frugal, but not cheap. And there are so many free resources that are provided to you through the things that you already are paying for, such as like your brokerage dues, okay, or the board dues, or even the state dues. They provide a lot of resources for that in exchange for that can reap so much more of a return if you use them, which is why I'm a big advocate of teaching all this and putting it out there and showing everybody what's there. Operational model will include your real estate sales priorities, which of course is lead generation, lead conversion, client servicing, and systems building. Your lead generation strategies, that's the prospecting and the marketing. Your lead conversion strategies as to when it comes to buyers and sellers. And then your servicing strategies by how are you supporting your clients? How are you improving your systems for their client care? Know your value proposition. Make it engaging, useful, and unique. That's your mission statement. What are you on a mission for? What is your business what's your business vision? Where are you gonna be? Where do you wanna be? Study your game and master your model. The organizational model will include an organizational chart. Who's doing what? And as individual agents in this business, we're doing it all. We are our own team. We are our own, a corporate organizational chart. Real estate sales responsibilities. But with that being said, whether you're wearing all 8 hats, 9 hats, or 1, and you're trying to delegate out the rest, you need to know what responsibilities go with listing, goes with buying, goes with transaction coordination, goes with closing, goes with marketing, so forth. And then knowledge, skills, dispositions, and expectations. You need to be able to define ideal candidates to fulfill those. Your organizational fundamentals will maintain business and performance standards so that you're professional and productive, and will help you to develop talent. Basic sales economics revolves around commission and volume. To make money, you must adhere to a high commission, high volume, or low commission, high volume, or high commission, low volume strategy, as these are the only valid business economic models. So again, and when I first started in this business, I was an unlicensed assistant to a top producing agent. She would not touch anything under 400,000. That was her cutoff, 400,000 or above, because she wanted those high commissions, and she did a high volume of those deals. Then I know a couple other agents that dealt with like REO properties. I mean, those are under 100,000, under 50,000. So they got really low commissions, but they had such a high volume, it produced a really high profit. Or the high commission, low volume, again, taking on $1 million properties. You could just work 2 or 3 a year and have 100,000. So those are the only valid business economic models. And I encourage agents to, pick one. At least then it will start to put you in a direction that you can go forward with. So again, low margin times high volume will equal high revenue. High revenue with least amount of expenses will yield the high profit. How do you calculate your transaction benchmark? Well, you think about your desired profit. For simplicity, let's say 100,000 plus your operating expenses. Let's say it's another $5,000 between the dues that you pay and marketing material you might print. So we got 105,000 is the revenue required. Let's divide that down by our average commission rate. Again, let's, for simplicity, just say it's $1,000. So you're making $1,000 in every deal. All right. How many deals do you need to do then to get, $105,000 a year? Obviously, it'd be 105. So, but that's how you calculate that transaction benchmark. Let's talk about the commission rate schedule. Break it down in your listing department. What do you consider a small listing? Anything under 200? What do you consider a large listing? Anything over 200? How many doubles do you want to do? How many, you want to represent the buyer and the seller? Do you want to sell lots, acreage, commercial, work only with investors, work only with home builders, give referrals, or just take referrals? Same thing with buyers. What do you consider a small buyer? Is it anything under 100,000? What's a large buyer to you? How many deals a year do you expect to do on both sides? How many investor deals? How many referrals you're going to give? Try to break down these numbers and plug them in. So the basic operational premise, as we talk about our operational, because we just talked about our financial, let's talk about our operational. We've got a prospect. You prospect for leads through expired properties, FSBOs, open house, networking, farming. You generate leads. They could be new leads that also refer you out and eventually become repeat business. You're going to convert those leads. Are they a buyer or a seller? And you're going to service them regardless of buyer or seller. You got to have a client care system in place. And then what's the marketing entail? Well, we've got yard signs every time you take a listing. We've got home ads. So you're prospecting for buyers. Same thing with just listed and just sold marketing that you do, as well as just some personal promotion on the internet. In summary, there's 18 core training classes in the Momentum program. And I usually give the spiel at the beginning, but the Momentum program was developed by a broker in Texas. And when Dave Ligner came and wanted to purchase the brokerage to become a RE/MAX franchise, he also purchased this program the broker had written. They have tweaked it. They have taken it to the next level, and they've put it out to all the franchise owners. And I can tell you that we are the only franchise, let alone being the largest franchise in Southwest Ohio, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky, that is offering the Momentum program to our agents. And I am honored to be asked to do this. And I have dedicated a lot of time and personal, integration into these. And this is what I offer. The lead generation classes that we offer cover the expired bootcamp, FSBO bootcamp, open house, marketing, referral, power video, social media, phone prospecting. I don't do all of those, and for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it's a lot of information, and I think I can link a couple of them together to give you the most powerful punch, the biggest push of momentum. And then some of this program was initially developed back in 2012, and a lot of things have changed. Technology, the markets. So although the basics of it is the most valuable item in here, I try to bring you into what I think will help you today. Lead conversion classes that we do is listing conversion, listing objections, pricing boot camp, and buyer conversion. And the real estate business classes would be the perspective that we've taken on today, the leverage summit, activities management, the team builder, the emotionally intelligent agent, and a negotiation boot camp. If there is not a class on the calendar that you see after looking at this list that you'd be interested in, I am more than happy to, number one, offer the class, or number two, share the material that was created for the class, and you could take it on your own. Okay, so feel free to reach out to me. What is your lead generation plan? Where's your source for leads? And what's the strategy you're going to use? Okay, let's talk about that a little bit more. Putting together plans will force you to strategically analyze each component of your operational model and help you determine your business strengths and weaknesses. Weaknesses will then be used to dictate what training and development you need for the year. What's your lead conversion plan? And what department is it specific to, listing or buying, and what strategy are you going to use? The 8 positions of a real estate agent in the operational model. The top 3, as we talked about, dollar producing positions is listing, buyer, and team leader. The administrative positions are going to be listing coordinator, closing coordinator, marketing coordinator, administrative assistant, and runner. And again, a lot of times we're wearing all 8 hats at one time. Why do most agents tend to move towards stuff? Well, think of it this way. 75% of this business is administrative. All the paperwork, all the measuring, all the photography, all the marketing, all the networking, all the talking, all the negotiating, and only 25% of it is actually dollar productive. It's easy to do the overwhelming stuff, but it's hard to commit and focus on the 25% of the dollar productive, which is that lead generation. We're going to talk about some vital activities. This is that there's 47, okay, altogether on this listing side and the buyer side individually. That's where they get that 94, okay. The lead generation, lead conversion, administrative prep work, marketing exposure, presenting and negotiating, closing preparation, and post-closing activities. Those are vital listing activity responsibilities. They are the same with the buyers. You've got to lead generate, you've got to lead convert, you've got administrative prep work, you've got showings, writing and negotiating, closing prep work, and post-closing activities. There are 3 types of activities in all of those vital. There's the vital activities that must be done. There's relevant activities that must be delegated, and there's irrelevant activities that must be ignored. The 6 ancillary arms. Ancillary arms represent the people and or systems that relevant business activities are delegated to so that you can remain vital. When I mentioned I first started in this business with an agent, top producing agent, she said to me, if I'm in the office, we're not making money. I need to be in the car to be dollar producing. What are your 6 ancillary arms? The mortgage, the 16 touch, the title, the 8 and 8, the inspection, and the 33 touch. Broken down more so, the mortgage, of course, involves the appraisal, the pre-approval, and loan underwriting. You've got to get in with a good mortgage person, or the mortgage person that's brought to you, you've got to get good with them. You will need to understand what their vital activities are to be so that you can keep an eye on those. The 16 touch, that's a long-term follow-up. How are you staying in touch with clients? How are you taking care of your clients so they become referral or repeat business? The title, that's a vital part of the process that involves the survey, the closing, and the title commitment. Again, get in with the title company, know what title company is involved in your transactions, understand their vital activities, and stay on top of that. 8 and 8, that's that short-term follow-up. You need to be persistently consistent in staying in touch with clients from second 1 through the end of time. The inspection, again, home inspection, inspection report, that's a vital part of the process. You need to understand the process. That's a vital part, but you need to let the home inspector take care of it and know what to expect from them. 33 touch, that's, again, keeping in touch with past clients. Just because you've closed a transaction doesn't mean the client has gone away. It wasn't a funeral. It was a celebration and the start of a beautiful new relationship. Keep in touch with your past clients. Organizational chart, and you'll see outlined in red are some of the auxiliary arms we just talked about. You are the owner. At this time, you're the team leader. You are the listing specialist. You are the buyer specialist. You are the listing coordinator, marketing coordinator, closing coordinator. You work with the title company. You are your own administrative assistant, and you work with the mortgage company and the inspection company. And that last little box at the bottom is the runner. Runner is the ones that are making sure the documents get dropped off where they need to be dropped off, whether it's marketing materials, they're putting up signs, sign writers, putting on lock boxes. That's the runner in this business. And again, we do it all ourselves a lot. The 47 vital activities, I'm not going to go through these right now because I focus on them in the listing conversion class, and I focus on the vital buying activities in the buyer conversion class. So watch for those on the calendar. But you can look through here, and I have had agents call me out and say, do you really do all 47 of these? I probably do about 47 times 3. So there's always something, subcategories under each one of those. I do want to close out or point out really quick, this post-closing activities. This is already going to be your biggest weakness. So get ahead of it and make it a strength. All right. Because again, like I said, it's not a funeral, it's a closing, and it should be the start of the next relationship. There is the bio activities. And in the handout I've emailed you, these are listed out as well. $13 productive activities. Well, let's start from the bottom of this. Okay, the bottom of the chart here, my bar. Your goal is to move from being totally vital to totally dollar productive. Okay, you want to get into that prospecting. You want to get into calling and viewing FSBOs, calling and mailing expired listings, holding open houses, mailing your network, mailing a farm area, track it daily, and coordinate those support activities. You want to get into presentation, know your listing conversation, get those Class A buyers in your car, and know what it is to have a buyer in process. Track your progress weekly and coordinate and support those activities. So you're building your client care systems. In the transactions, hold those deals together, negotiate offers, take listings, write offers, track that monthly, and ultimately we're getting to closing, we're getting a check. So again, build those client care systems on each step of the way, but this is that dollar productive activity tree. Okay, this is what's making the money. Your performance standards. And when it comes to listing conversions, look at how many listings have sold. You've converted a seller and you've gotten it sold. In the lead generation, you can measure that by how many listings are taken, how many meetings you sat down with, how many appointments that you set, how many people you talked to, and how many people you attempted to talk to. So this is how you're going to measure your performance standard. Is what you're doing working? Okay, same thing on the buyer side. Lead generation and buyers. How many people have you talked to? How many people have you set appointments with, had a buyer consultation? How many people have you gotten out and gotten pre-approved and gotten in the car and shown houses to and wrote offers and got accepted and closed? So, and your transaction benchmarking greatly depends on this. What are the 13 key conversion rates? Again, conversion means once you've got the lead, how are you converting it? How are you getting that potential seller to sit down with you? How are you getting that potential seller to list with you? How are you getting that potential listing sold? Same thing with buyers. How many buyers are you talking to? How many of you are setting appointments with, having a consultation with, getting pre-approved, getting in the car, showing them houses, writing offers, and getting them closed? And then the magic 24. We have no such thing as time management. You cannot manage time. You can't control time. It is what it is. We have 24 hours in a day, 168 in a week, 730 in a month, 8760 in a year. You're not going to change time, and you're not getting any more or less of it. Time passes second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, regardless of what you do or don't do. I certainly don't want you to think that this hour you've spent with me has been something to write off. Take it and do something with it. It is impossible to manage time. However, you can manage or control the activities that you implement during the time allotted to your career. Focusing on the activities management as opposed to time management should be your goal. It's crucial that you create a time budget by defining the number of hours you want to dedicate to your career, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and once established, allocate each day's worth of time to one of 4 key categories. This approach will keep you on the right side of momentum and greatly support you in your efforts to be proactive. On an extended note, our next class is on activities management, so we can focus a little bit more on what to do in the time. But I want you to do 2 things for homework, or 3 things. I want you to decide on your entrepreneur mantra. What is your goal for the year? Dollar amount or transaction amount even is fine. Then I want you to decide how many days per week you want to work. I want you to give yourself a day off, okay? And share what that is. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't take a day off. What if somebody needs something? Guess what? Your doctor is in the office Monday through Friday. Your attorney is available, 8 to 10 every morning. We're professionals. We're running our own business. Set your hours, set your day off, set your entrepreneur mantra, make things happen for that. Okay. You must use the time as a parameter for your time. All of your time should be blocked into 4 categories. And like I said, we'll cover this more in the activities management. You're going to talk about lead generation, lead conversion, your client care, and your personal development systems. Those are the only 4 categories that will lead to real estate sales revenue. The additional tools here at the end are sheets for you to use and some of the calculations we've recommended that you do, as well as a family income statement, expense sheet, balance sheet, profit for your business, income statement for your business, your retirement needs template. And again, these are all samples for you to use. You can certainly create your own. But I want to thank you for joining me today. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love hearing from everybody. Other than that, I'll send you a recording of this and some key notes that I just talked about, as well as the homework assignment I gave you. Any questions?
Nope, that sounded great.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining, and I'll touch base with you in a little bit. All right.
All right.
Thank you.